Hi, I'm Kevin from D-Tools, and in this video, I'll provide an introduction to project revisions. We'll get started by answering a few questions like what is a project revision and why should I store project revisions? And then we'll finish up the video with a demonstration of how you can use project revisions. So what is a project revision? Think of it as a snapshot in time of your project's data that is stored read-only, separate from the project itself. So why would I store project revisions? If you're an account executive or a design engineer, revisions will help you manage your pre-sale workflow and give you the tools to present options to your customers. It's simple. When a customer requests changes, you create a revision, you make the updates, and you issue a new proposal. So how can I use revisions? Well, first I'll show you how to create a revision, how you can compare revisions, which allows you to see what has changed. And then we'll talk about managing revisions, including the Promote as Project feature, which lets you take a previous revision and promote it to be the current project where you can present that to your customer. Okay, let's take a look at our sample project. We have it here. I named it Project Revisions to make it easy to find. And I want you to notice that it has a revision number that is 0. Every project starts at revision 0. You can see that it has a price with tax of almost $12,000. I'll go ahead and just quickly open this project so we can take a peek. It has 16 line items here. We have an installation price of around $11,000. We have some labor. Everything looks good. So let's say that we presented this with a proposal to our customer, and then now they've asked for some changes. So I'm going to go ahead and close the project. I'm not going to check it in this time. I'll just click no. Then I'm going to come right down here and notice this tab labeled revisions. I'll click it. And this is where all the revisions are going to show up. So each time I need to make some changes where I don't want to lose the previous version, I'm going to go ahead and create a revision. So with the project checked out, the create button is available. So I'll go ahead and click create. And so again, this is going to take a snapshot of the full project and any documents that are associated with it. In this case, it has a scope of work file, and it's going to store that away for the future. So if I'd like to put a note in here, something like original proposal, that way I'll know when I look at it later that that was the first proposal. So I click OK, and then now we get a copy down here. Notice it has Rev 0 in parentheses in the name. It says original proposal, so it's easy for me to recognize that. There is a direct reference to the revision number here, and all the pricing data is available. And then I want you to notice that here's the active project still up in our list of projects, and it is now at revision 1. So if I was to go ahead and compare these two revisions right now, nothing would happen because they are identical other than the revision number. But if I go ahead and open this project and let's just make a few changes. For instance, let's say that instead of using maybe the kitchen deck, they decided we're not going to put speakers there initially. We'll just work with the terrace speakers. So I'm going to go ahead and select these speakers, and I'm just going to click delete. Okay. So pretty simple. So I think if I did my math, that does remove an audio zone, right? We have the family room, we have the kitchen, and we have the terrace. So I can go ahead and remove one of the amplifiers. Okay, so I made some changes. Now I could go ahead and run another proposal, present it to the customer, and move forward. So I'll go ahead and save this. Okay, so now we have our revision down here at revision 0, which is a tax inclusive price of just below $12,000. And then now we have our project and its price with taxes just under $10,000. So we took out $2,000. If at some point I want to be able to identify exactly what I changed, I'll simply come down here to the revision section and I will click compare. And in this case, we only have two, right? We have the original proposal and we have the active project. So they're pre-selected. If I had more revisions, I could choose which ones I would like to compare to see where some changes happened. Or if I had 10 revisions, I could say, let's look at the first revision and compare it to the current project, and it would show me every change that had been made from the beginning until the current version. It's very, very handy. So I'll go ahead and just click compare. What you can see here is it shows us -1 Sonance Mariner, -1 Sonance Mariner, and a -1 Sonos amp. So it shows us that change. Very easy to understand. I can run reports against this, so I can come to the report tools and run various reports that I might want to understand those changes that took place. I can dump it out to Excel. I can export that. So I have some options to allow me to make use of this information, right? The export feature right here gives me the ability to just get a spreadsheet of these changes out. So I think the revision comparison is extremely useful. Now, I want to point out that there's one more interesting feature, which is that we've gone through this process. We've presented a couple of different proposals to our customer, and maybe the customer decided they changed their mind. They said, you know what, let's go back to that original proposal. We decided that we'll go ahead and spend that extra couple $1,000s and get those speakers. So let's go ahead and add that back in. If you didn't have the revision, you'd have to know exactly what you changed. You'd have to go back to the project and have to add it back in and try to make sure the pricing's correct and all of that. But in this case, it's really simple. I'm going to check the project out. I'm going to come again to the revisions tab, and my original proposal is selected, and I'll simply click promote as project. So notice what's going to happen here. Back up the current project as a new revision. So that means that revision 1, which is the current version, is going to become a revision down in this list. The contents, the data related to the original revision 0 is going to come back up and replace the project, but it will also increment and it will become revision 2. I'm going to go ahead and promote, and here it is capturing revision 1. And if I wanted to, I could say removed deck, speakers, and amp. There we go. So we have the original proposal. We have Rev 1 here where we remove the deck, speakers, and amp. And then now if you notice, the 11,924 is the original, and now we're up here again at 11,924. So that's been restored, but we keep counting on our revisions. So now we're at revision 2. So if we needed to make additional changes, we'd have all 3 unique versions. Now that you've been introduced to project revisions, to learn more, visit the System Integrator Help Center. It's located at docs.d-tools.com. When you get there, search for revisions to browse additional topics.